Hello, everyone. I'm coming to you with Carol, the lady who's going to do the angelic messages for us on Sunday. Hoping they can see us okay. We're here to give you a little bit explanation of what angelic messages is actually all about. So I'm going to ask Carol some questions, and she's going to come with me with some of those answers. And of course, this is totally random and out there, so we're getting that full intuitive messages straight up anyway. So, Carol, how are you going?
Oh,
Right, we're going to ask some questions about the angelic intuitive messages. And these messages are something that Carol's going to bring to us on our next workshop. And this workshop is going to be going every month and usually will be brought to us on a Saturday. However, this one's going to be on a Sunday. So, Carol, we're going to work in with, your personal experiences about angelic intuitive messages. And can you share the first experience with receiving the angelic intuitive messages and what was like? You mentioned something about a couple of car accidents.
it's, I had a couple of car accidents and I'm driving down the road and this voice in my head said, "Don't go there." And I, I don't know. So I went there and I had a car accident. And then I got the voice again and then I had another car accident. And I had five voices before I thought I might maybe better listen to these voices. So I started listening to these voices. And it took me quite a while, like 2 decades, to figure out who was giving me the messages. They were definitely angelic, even though they growled at me. But then I found out it was my sister, and sisters growl at you to keep you safe. So I've been a bit of a klutz most of my life. My numerology says I'm allowed to be a klutz, so that's okay. And once I started listening to the messages, I knew I was safe, especially with car accidents. I only have to touch the door of the car, and if I feel sick, nauseous, I have to go back in the house, have a cup of tea. Third time I touch the door, if I'm still sick, I'm not going. I ring up and I say. And each and every time I have done that and pulled the pin on somewhere I was going and rung up to cancel, it's usually been a spiritual church that I was going to do readings, strangely enough, and the news has come on that there was an accident on the road somewhere where I would have either been going through at that same time as the accident. So I'm quite happy to listen to the car accident voices. Everybody knows about the parking angels. You can get a parking angel. You just ask. No.
No, not everybody knows about those
Oh, well,
messages.
I know about the parking angels. You ask the parking angels and you get a park. Now, I'm older now, so I like two parks, so I can just zoom in and without all the fluffing around. So if you ask, they're there. With the car accidents, um, I had well, I didn't have a severe car accident, but I had a vision of a car accident. And I was my first ever vision, and I was so freaked out by it that apparently the I was engaged at the time, and my fiance, I freaked him out. I was so pale, and he just pulled over to the side of the road. And what it is, I said, I just saw an accident, and his mate was stuck in a barbed wire fence, and the car was on its roof. And oh God, he said, what are we going to do? And I said, well, he mates were in the other car, and he says, oh, Carol's not very well, we're going home. So we went home. Next week, following week, exactly the same circumstances. We were at a party, somebody got kicked out. So we went driving, and Geelong, the Yangs, let's go to the Yangs and watch the kangaroos boxing in the middle of the night, which is apparently what you do in the Yangs. We know that. Some people who don't live in Geelong don't know that. And we went. The other car was in front. They missed the turn. We took the turn. The other car did a U, came around, overcorrected, and went chung, 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 landed on a barbed wire fence and upside down. Now, my future husband jumped out the car. For some reason, I had one of those big dolphin torches, and I just put a battery in, and they were cost a fortune in those days, and put the thing, and there he was in the middle of a potato paddock. So Nursey Carol went out, Can you feel your fingers? Can you feel your toes? And he went, jumped up. What are you talking about? And he went off. Little beknownst to us, the girl who'd been sitting in the car in the middle had a broken skull, fractured skull. But we ended up taking them all to the hospital to get checked out and everything. And that was my very first vision. And I reckon before I got married, I scared my husband so much. He had a lot of trouble. What else does she know? What else does she see? What else does she? So it all started a scenario. And actually, unbeknownst to me, I have actually scared a couple of blokes off by having a very intuitive, angelic message come through about somebody I was dating. And I just said, oh, you did one guy.
We'll pause there for a moment on our first question.
Yeah.
So what we're going to do is go with,
Yeah.
what types of messages do you typically receive from your angels? And are they more visual, auditory, felt?
It's a lot of both, but a lot of the time, especially with the big one, it was like a little mini movie inside my eyeballs. And I just thought, oh, this is really, really sort of, because that was important. And we kind of listened, but I got a precursor. And I don't know there was anything I could have done to stop it or change it in any way. But normally what happens is I get an inclination, or sometimes my heart goes faster, but it's about pictures because I love me some pictures and some colours and stuff like that. And then when I started doing the readings through the church, Jason McDonald, who's quite a well-known clairvoyant, and he's Wine or Samoan, and he's been very prolific around the Mind Body Spirit festivals and things like that. He came to the church in Caloundra, and he was up on stage doing his bit, and he said, "You, what?" He goes, "You can do this work. Why aren't you doing this work?" And I thought, "Oh, I don't know." He says, "You get a reading for somebody, we'll come back to you." So I got a reading, and I just closed my eyes, and I got 2 pictures of Nefertiti, the Egyptian goddess. And I thought, oh, and then I thought, oh, it's for that lady over there, and the lovely Lainey. And Lainey was actually the reverend from the Tewantin Noosa Church. And so I went up to her and I said, well, Jason told me to get a message, and I've got a message for you. And there's something about, there's a windowsill, and you've got there's 2 Nefertitis, and then there's a smashed thing on the other side of the window. She goes, oh, yeah. She goes, I bought 2 Nefertiti pot holders, and the cat jumped up and broke them, and they fell off the windowsill. She goes, would you like to come and do some readings at the Noosa Church? So I did. And from there, I did lots of readings from the Noosa Church. It was a lovely trip. And then the reverend at the Caloundra Church had a big meeting with all the reverend people, and she said, well, why don't you have Carol come to your church? And he goes, Carol, she comes to your church every week. She's in your congregation. And he said, oh, I didn't know that. So because I only lived a kilometre away from the church, every time somebody let him down, Reverend Don would ring me, and I would go and do the readings at the church. And he would always say, because you had to do a little talk. So I tried writing stuff down so I could memorize a talk and get a link. No, couldn't memorize anything. Had to do it off the cuff all the time. And then all I did was I closed my eyes and I played Match the Colour. You close your eyes, you get a colour, like a lovely sagey green colour. You open your eyes and there's a woman with that colour, and that's the message for her. Because in England, they do it very differently. They have a spirit come through, and the spirit has a message for somebody. And she goes into the description of the message, the person, what they're like, what the message is like. And then they say, does anybody accept or know this person that the message is from? And I thought, what? No. I pick a colour, I match the colour, this is the message for you. And 90% of the time it is a match, but sometimes it can be a little bit tricky when a couple of people are in a line and they're wearing almost the same colour. So you've got to say, this is for somebody in that area, and you can pick the bits and pieces that suit you. But realistically, from my perspective, every message has something that is vital for everybody that's there. And all they have to do is open their ears and listen, open their hearts to accept what part of the message is for them.
So going online in this part and people coming online with us, how do you think that you might be able to, is there other ways that you receive messages?
Oh, I've done it through tarot cards and do readings over the phone where I don't even see the people and I don't have anything of theirs. People used to say, send me a letter or send me something like a hanky or something that you've used. I do the psychometry when you grab like their jewelry or the key, but a lot of people have keys and sunglasses, and I've used those to do them in person. But as I've progressed, it's just there. And this is 30 years down the track, so it's much easier now.
But the messages that you'll receive online, you might receive a symbol for someone like the Nefertiti, and then that will relate to someone who could perhaps be online, because we can't necessarily see what everyone's wearing.
All right. Yeah. It's just the intuition has got stronger over the years. And it's just, I just accept now that that's the message will come for the person. Sometimes, like if you can hear their voice, or even a lot of people think it's silly. If you're a psychic, why do you need to know my name? I said, well, you've got to have an inroad. You've got to have an acceptance from both sides. If you don't get that acceptance, very, very hard to please somebody who's already put up a barrier. Like, you're the psychic, you tell me. I said, yeah, okay, well, why would I want to waste my time doing that? It's just a struggle that you shouldn't have to. Sometimes it's really easy because they're usually the Scorpios who say that.
And do you think that we're, when we come online on Sunday coming up and we have intuitive messages coming through, can we get a variety of people? Like, could the messages come through as a variety of people that you can give a message to, or particularly might only be one person?
Oh no, well, in the movie Ghost, when Whoopi Goldberg does it, she's got a bunch of people and they all start pushing and shoving. The ghosts all start pushing and shoving, but they jump in her body. I said, I don't put up with that sort of crap, because you either wait in line or you don't get the attention. Because, mind you, I probably should do that with training my dog, shouldn't I? So they've got to be well behaved, and then I just get them, and they want. Sometimes they're incredibly important messages for people about family health concerns, or where jewelry's hidden or fallen or something like that. But sometimes it's just you're doing a really good job, keep going. And sometimes that's what somebody needs to hear, because they don't think they're doing a really good job and they don't know how they're going to keep going. But on the surface you wouldn't know that, but somebody in spirit knows it. So they're going to jump on board. And even if it is just the smallest, slightest bit of encouragement, that's all that one person needs.
So we're going to come to you on Sunday together. We're going to be in the space as well. And we hope that you have enjoyed this little capture of angelic messages, and we'll be coming to you again very soon.